Hello everyone and welcome to another video here on the Burr Reviews YouTube channel. My name is Jared and joining me for the first time in forever is Linda again. Yay!
Hello! Oh, sorry. Hello everyone and welcome back to this episode of this podcast with Spooky Linda and Scary Jared.
Yes. It's so good to be back. It's been very long since we've been able to do this, just with work schedules and stuff, but we had to. We did 2018 Halloween, and we also did Halloween Kills, so it's only appropriate that we actually got back to it for Halloween Ends, which is what we are reviewing today. So, I guess let me just give you a brief snapshot of where we are in Halloween Ends, and then we'll get into a non-spoiler review first. Halloween Ends picks up 4 years after the events of 2018 and Kills. That all obviously took place on one night, and we do a time jump here, and this one focuses more on a babysitting gone wrong, and where that path leads in the, I guess, in the location of Haddonfield. I think this trilogy has shown us that Haddonfield is more of a character maybe than any of the other previous installments, as each of these films feels very much like an anthology almost, where it's taking a look at people's lives differently in Haddonfield and how Haddonfield has been infected by this evil of sorts. So that's where we are in Halloween Ends. I can't really go into too much more without spoiling a whole bunch of stuff, so we're not going to do that. Non-spoiler review again for the first time. Linda, your thoughts overall on Halloween Ends. Did you like it? Did you not like it? What do you think?
Oh boy. It is what it is. For what it was, I liked it. I'm very conflicted as to whether or not it should have been considered a Michael Myers, I guess I should specify, a Michael Myers Halloween movie. I'm wondering if this was how people felt about Season of the Witch. And I'm going to keep bringing that up. I'm sorry. It's just, it's what they did, because they kept making like Halloween Kills. They kind of made it, kind of like how the original Halloween 2 were. And you can tell by font style, by like music and everything, that Halloween Ends, they kind of made it with like Season of the Witch and everything. And Season of the Witch was very back and forth with people back in the day. But, I mean, people grew to like it a lot because they're like, it is what it is. I liked it, and that's definitely where I'm at right now.
Yeah.
I'm still just very unsure as to whether or not it was, for lack of a better term, appropriate for this trilogy of Halloween movies.
Right. And that's why I kind of fronted with the whole idea of it being an anthology, because each has very different flavors. They're not succinct at all. Like, it doesn't work as a trilogy. Like, I'm just going to be honest. Like, this string of movies is so, like, there are so many different, like, beats happening in each of them that feel very different from one another. Even you look at 2018 versus Kills, which is supposed to be happening on the same night. And literally, like, those are two very different movies. Now, I didn't mind Kills as much as you did, but I had a real...
That ending was bullshit, and I will take that to my grave.
Right. And I feel like for me specifically, like, the swing that happens in Halloween 2018, and that's the swing of Dr. Sartain basically being, like, evil, essentially. I hated it, and it totally threw me off course for that entire movie. They did some really cool things, but Halloween Kills, I felt like, went back to, like, some type of, like, style anyway that I was more inclined to appreciate. Here, they go another completely different direction. Like, they take a whole sharp left turn, and it doesn't always work. Let me just say that. However, I think this is going to be a movie much like Season of the Witch, which, I think this is more akin to than anything. Maybe Jason 5 as well, like Friday the 13th. Like the I guess the whole idea that evil as a construct can spread to different people, and like where people are at within the town of Haddonfield, and like that idea of spreading evil around is super prevalent here. And so that's why we keep harkening back to like Season of the Witch and whatnot. I think it's very much in line with that.
Yeah.
Rotten Tomatoes, not that it really matters, but with 150 reviews, it's at 39%, and then the audience score is at 56. So it seems like more of the actual general audience doesn't dislike it as much as critics do.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of discussion on that. Um, do you think the trailers were misleading at all? Because this has been a point of contention. You know, you watch the trailers and you're like, that really doesn't explain what's going on, like, at all. Do you find that people are maybe having like a visceral reaction to it because it's not what they thought it was going to be?
I think so. And I think people are being a little too harsh on it, but I understand the initial upset by it. Because yeah, no, I didn't really get this plot from the trailer. Maybe I should have. I don't know. It just yeah. This movie was definitely very misleading. I think this is why I'm so cool about it, because
Yeah.
it's not what I expected. Maybe that's a good thing, because you know you don't want to go into a movie knowing what's going to happen, and this was definitely not what I thought was going to happen. Well done, trailer.
Well done.
You did good.
You know, the funny thing too is when I was at CinemaCon in April, Jamie Lee Curtis came out on stage and did a whole Halloween Ends presentation, and we were shown the fight clip, a little bit of the fight clip back in April, and it was really cool to see. It got me super hyped. But she did make a point of saying that like this isn't your typical Halloween movie. So like she was like, while we do have these things in here, like just be ready for something unique. And I feel like she was pretty on point with that summation. I just wish that it would have been communicated maybe a little bit better. Um, this is going to be a movie though where like I was saying before, I feel like in a few years we're going to go back to it and we're going to be like, you know, actually I don't hate it. Like I don't hate it as much. And for the record, I don't hate it. Like I actually really like this movie. Surprisingly, I don't. I think there are some things in it that are really frustrating to me, and even while I like it, I do find myself kind of playing that game of like, well, what if? Like, what if this would have happened? What if that would have happened? What if they would have cut that out? You know, like, what if they would have had a certain character there from the very start? And those things I feel like are valid, but at the same time, like I'm judging the movie based on what the whole entire like series is trying to do, and I do feel like it's threading that needle of the conversation of the polarity between good and evil, and how it can leave a wake of destruction in its path, and like that fight, that constant fight between Michael and Laurie, like it's inevitable, which I really like. So no matter if Michael's intention is ever like, and you can maybe consider this a spoiler, but Michael's intention is never in this trilogy, let me go kill Laurie Strode. Never once is he thinking that. Like, honestly, their paths just keep crossing at every given turn, and it's almost just inevitable. Like, there's no point to it. What would you have done like with this trilogy? Like, if you had to retroactively go back to like 2018 and kills, where would you have had the trilogy go in its arc? Would you have done the basic Michael Laurie siblings story, or would you have tried to go down a different route like Green and Company here?
I don't like that question. I liked where they were going, where they were like, oh, that's just a story people were telling each other. That's just a myth that they were siblings. I didn't mind that because honestly, it was when they were like, "Oh, they're siblings," and that's why he's going after her. That's when like the whole like story arc of Halloween completely went off the rails there. Um, so I kind of like that he's just a killer and she's just there trying to stop him. I think that says a lot on Laurie's character too. I mean, it was just, one night that happened years ago, and she's still willing to like go back in there and continue fighting him, even when she's not even necessarily a target anymore. I like that kind of Laurie character, in my opinion. That she's just there to save the day and to fight and to help other people. I like that better, other than he's trying to go after her because, gotta go after family.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like that's a lot of people had issue with that particular like arc that they have though, because like I guess a lot of people wanted to kind of see more intention from Michael, but no, it's just he's just evil, dude. Like he literally is just going to do what he's going to do, and that's the end of it. Like there is no explanation, there is no motivation. It's
He's just
simply
unstoppable because he is unstoppable.
yeah. Yeah, so it kind of took that intention out of his character where I feel like a lot of people are having issues with it, but I think that, David Gordon Green and Danny McBride, David Gordon Green being the director of all three of these movies, writing the films with Danny McBride. There, even though each movie feels different, there is kind of the same, and I wouldn't even say the same tone, but the same style of filmmaking, I would say, more so. You have the same director of cinematography in Michael Simmons shooting each of these movies. So in that regard, in regards to style, it does feel very similar, which I appreciate. The fact that we were able to get 3 Halloween movies in 4 years, I'm not complaining, even if they didn't go how everyone thought that they should have gone or how they actually ended. I'm appreciative for what we did get. We're in this whole horror resurgence right now. They're talking about doing a Friday the 13th reboot now that the litigation has kind of blown over. Nightmare on Elm Street's bound to get another reboot at some point. My worry right now is how people are going to take to David Gordon Green's Exorcist trilogy, because that's about to go into filming here in the next few weeks, and I just wonder, I wonder what he's going to do with that trilogy and how people are going to respond to it, because clearly like Blumhouse and David Gordon Green have such a good connection, but I just don't know that he is the right person for that trilogy. Maybe, but he does have a very unique vision, and he is a filmmaker. I was reading an interview where he basically said, look, like, I'm hot and cold. He literally called himself hot and cold. He was like, one day I'll be doing this, and then I'll just switch it up. I'll say, fuck it, and I'll tear it all down, and I'll go a new direction. And I really appreciate that, because if I was making films, that's probably how I would be making them. But, like, at the same time, it's like, I'm surprised Blumhouse still wants him to go forth with the Exorcist trilogy, if I'm being completely honest, because the reaction that these movies have got is not great.
I feel like if I don't know, The Exorcist is iconic, a classic, but watching it today, I watched it just like a few short weeks ago, and I'm sitting through it and I'm like, this is slow. This is so slow. I don't remember it being this slow. And I think if we were to, I think it'd be hard, regardless whoever's attached to it, to reboot The Exorcist, still make it feel fresh after, since the day it first came out. We've had so many possession, haunting, demon movies, and it's like, how are you gonna top that without making it feel like how everything else is already?
Yeah. Yeah, that's difficult. I don't know how they're going to do it.
Like, give me something that I haven't already seen since you first came out and 1973. Like that, oh, that's gonna be hard. And to reboot this and still make it feel fresh and, without straying too far from the original, that's that's gonna be a tall order.
Very tall order, and I don't know if Green's the appropriate person to manage that, but
Who
maybe.
would you have direct it?
That's a really good question.
Jared's just like, you know what, I'll do it.
No, I think Mike Flanagan would be ideal, like I do.
Ooh,
Uh,
oh, Mike Flanagan's a good one.
I think he'd be able to bring a sensitivity to it as well, where it's a little bit more empathetic, and a little bit more, I guess, grounded in real human themes. You know, he does that very well in all of it, and like. There are a bunch of great horror directors right now. Let's not even kid ourselves. There's a whole slew of people. We've just been spoiled the last few years with good horror, good genre filmmakers. That really you could put everyone's name in a bucket, draw it, and that person would probably do just as good of a job as the next guy. It might be a little tonally different and thematically different, but I think everyone has their own unique spin to things. I'm just not
Yeah.
sure that Green is the right person for a trilogy. I great standalone filmmaker. I really love it, but as a trilogy, we'll see.
So they are making The Exorcist a trilogy now?
Yep, yep. They greenlit
What?
it as a trilogy.
Yeah,
Hmm.
because the second Exorcist, the first time around, went so well.
Right, right. And who knows? Like I'm not trying to doubt David Gordon Green here. It's just that after experiencing how this trilogy went, like he's a very unique filmmaker. Like I don't even think that like each of the movies is bad necessarily. Again, it's just more of the
They
fact
just
that they
don't
each
flow the way that a
exactly.
trilogy should.
Exactly. And so that's my concern with a trilogy. Like a great standalone director is like if we had just gotten this random Halloween Ends movie, and there hadn't been two other films, I wouldn't have hated it. Like I
No.
don't think I would have hated it. I think actually you can make an argument that 1978 and Halloween Ends make for a perfect pair. They make for a perfect pair because there's so much time removed from each of them. And that time jump that we do in Halloween Ends is also a little jarring when we just got done seeing Kills, and the outcome of that movie, and then to jump immediately into a time jump where we kind of skip over Laurie's change. Like how does Laurie now process things? It's a little different. Her character here is settled in Halloween Ends. It's not like it was in 2018 in Halloween Kills. Like it just isn't. She's not the same person. And I would have loved to see that transition if they were going to do this trilogy this way. I would have loved to kind of at least get an insight into what changed on a day-to-day basis. Um, we get a little bit of it, but it's still a little jarring going from Kills to Ends. And then I think about it and I'm like, well, wait, but if we just take the 1978 movie and we move directly to Ends, there is so much time in between those two that like you could almost make an argument that those make for the perfect pair, like as sequels. But that's just me. I was thinking about that last night a little bit. I was like, this might be a really interesting watch back to back with Halloween 78. So
I can see why you think that. My only issue with that would be the fact that we've seen Allison go through a lot. And I think it is important to have seen and know what happened to her and to have that tragedy that's following her, because that's also what this movie's doing. It's showing how she's still affected by all that even after 4 years, and seeing how she's feeling. I mean, she's an angry survivor.
Mm-hmm.
Like, not angry the way that a lot of other movies have portrayed it on survivors, where they just kind of fall into this pit and they just don't care about anyone or anything. Like, she's trying to still live a normal life and to not pretend that nothing's happened per se, but just not letting it show that it is hurting her and that it is making her angry. And is this the spoiler part of the review?
Oh yeah, we can dip into spoilers. Sure.
Okay,
I'll
okay, and I think Corey was his name. I think Corey was just bringing that out of her, and so I think it's really important to know what she has gone through, because I feel like that definitely affected her side of this movie so much.
Yeah. Yeah. No. Yeah, I see that. Well, I mean, on that note, why don't we just dive into like the actual spoilers then? So this is going to be our spoiler review for Patreon specifically. So if you're not a Patreon member, head over to the Burrow Reviews, or you can go to theburrowreviews.com and find the link there, or you can go to patreon.com/the Burrow Reviews. And yeah, sign up. You get a bunch of like spoiler videos and a bunch of cool, unique content. But at this point, we're going to dive into spoilers. So thank you everyone for watching on YouTube. Like I said, there's going to be more Halloween Ends content coming your way. I've got a video essay planned, a couple of other things that we're doing, so stay tuned for that. But thank you so much for watching, and we're going to get into spoilers.